Yeah, but my computer's downstairs. If you want to hang out.
So I posted some resources on internships. As you've heard from a number of speakers that have talked in this class, the importance of internships for getting your foot in the door and making progress along your career. And of course, you'll be hearing about internships today from Argonne Labs. They're specifically be talking about EHS internships, but as I've already posted with you in other chats, the Argonne has internships available in many different disciplines. So virtually any kind of career you're seeking has the possibility of being there at Argonne. But that one internships.com is is one of the best resources I've seen, where virtually any kind of internship is in any state you can find. And also provides tips for how to do internships, career advice, and resumes, and cover letters, and all of that stuff.
Dr. Hogan, are we going to be doing any group work today?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Just have to show up, get your 3 points, and enjoy the speaker. You know, it's an easy day for Thanksgiving week. And so real internships on site are a real possibility in the springtime, although many public health and other people are doing internships remotely, dealing with COVID. But it looks like by the summertime, the vaccine distribution should be good enough so that you may be able to work for real at a place, which would be great for everybody.
Do you know if there's any tech internships like a help desk analysis or anything like that? A tech help desk analysis?
There probably are, but you take a look through that site. It's got a bunch of, it's a gigantic search engine just for internships. So.
Okay, thank you.
So our speaker should be joining at 11:35. I'd like to have him start a few minutes later so that everybody's had a chance to get here. In the meantime, while you're waiting, take a look at the links for internship information. Good morning. Hey, Martin, are you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Who else is coming from from Argonne?
We still have, I believe, 3 more.
Okay, great. Thanks. So what do you do at Argonne?
So I'm a environmental safety and health coordinator, and I'll explain a little more about the about the exact position, because there are a couple of different coordinators, but we also kind of do a lot of different things.
Okay. Well, two more people just joined from Argonne, so.
Hey there, Dr. Hogan. This is Quinn Matula.
Hey, great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good. And Shayna's here too, I see.
Good morning, Dr. Hogan. Shauna.
Shauna, okay, thanks
Glad
for
to join the class.
appreciate you coming.
No problem.
So on my team, so this is Quinn Matula speaking. We've got Shauna Harris, Martin Flores, Greg Moss, who looks like he's just about to join.
Yep.
So start with you. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
All right.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so my name is Quinn Matula. I am an occupational safety member of Argonne National Lab. So I support a number of physical safety programs at the lab, including fall protection, machine guarding, personal protective equipment, and a few other areas. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of, I'll let the other presenters kind of give their title and give a quick introduction of what they do. So Shauna, if you want to go next.
Hello, this is Shauna Harris. I am a environmental safety and health specialist for the Environmental Sciences Division. And we work in all of those areas that Quinn just spoke on that he services, and he will support us in terms of subject matter expert, depending on what we work with. I am also an NIU alumni, so I'm really glad I got to join this call.
Great, thanks.
Martin, you want to take it?
Hey, I'm Martin Flores. I'm also an ESH coordinator for deployed safety services. So similar to Shauna, I am deployed to a specific division, and I support them and their needs, as opposed to Quinn and Greg, who support higher level programs.
Thanks, Martin. Last but not least, Greg.
Hey guys, Greg Moss. So I'm an industrial hygienist with Argonne. So my sole duty is to protect employee exposure to hazardous materials, chemicals, and physical agents. So I delve into laboratory ventilation and heavy metal exposure, handling lead shielding, reactive chemistry issues, lasers, hazardous noise. So we have, I think, 11 industrial hygienists at this point that all have different duties or programs that they manage. So each of those topics that I rattled off does have a primary program manager, but you need to have kind of a broad knowledge base, so when you're out and about and you have the ability to recognize issues and be a couple of questions deep, so then you can kind of find the right person who can, if more expertise is needed, jump in.
Good. Thanks, everyone. So quick introduction. We'll be talking about Argonne National Laboratory kind of as a whole, going over some of the programs and the mission of the lab. And then we'll finish off talking about the internship program. And then we'd like to leave some extra time at the end to answer questions. So with that, I will turn things over to Greg to get it started.
Sure. So some background on who Argonne is, if you're not familiar. The Department of Energy has a nationwide system of national laboratories. I think there's 17 in total. So they're assignment is basically do government-funded research, generally in the area of energy, not necessarily just energy. You know, there's Department of Defense work that happens at some of these sites, Homeland Security, cybersecurity stuff, but also these network of laboratories have had more recently initiatives to partner with commercial public sector industry to help them develop their technology so they can come to these DOE sites and utilize the facilities and enhanced scientific instruments that those companies may not otherwise have access to easily. And a lot of times it's subsidized to a certain extent by the government, so get some discounted rates to come use beam lines and things of that nature. So there's some overlap in research, but some sites have specific specialties. Los Alamos, for example, specializes in weapons development. NREL, which is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, obviously focuses on renewable energy. Argonne is pretty much broad spectrum fundamental research in a lot of different areas. Everything from quantum computing to new material development using nanomaterials, new electric vehicle, battery and charger development, safer nuclear reactor technologies, medical imaging using radioisotopes, which is a very interesting topic, just to name a few. So usually these labs are operated by a public sector contractor, your big conglomerates, you know, Lockheed Martins and such. Argonne is a little unique that the contract has always been held and operated by the University of Chicago. So our paychecks come from the University of Chicago Argonne LLC. If you go to the next slide. So Argonne sits in the Waterfall Glen Forest Preserve, if you're not familiar with where it is. About 1,700 acres on site with 80 buildings. A lot of those are small buildings, so the major ones, maybe 35 big buildings. So it's kind of a compact site, but it's a beautiful place to drive in and work at. You know, it's quick and easy access to the Waterfall Glen Forest Preserve trails, and really is a nice setting compared to the power plants and pipelines that I used to work at. So Argonne's proximity to Chicago is no accident. In 1942, Enrico Fermi, funded by the DOE, working for University of Chicago, created the first self-sustaining nuclear reactor. You know, that was stemmed by Manhattan Project and weapons development research, but has obviously led to a wide range of nuclear research and commercialization and energy production. So as you can see on the slide here, over time, Argonne's been in a wide variety of scientific research disciplines. That's what makes it a very exciting place to work at. You never know what you're going to see on a day-to-day basis and new things you're going to learn. So it's been a very attractive thing, place to be employed for me. If you can go to the next slide. So here you'll see some metrics. Operating budget annually is pretty good size, $830 million. That does not include upcoming upgrade of the advanced photon source, which you'll hear a little bit more about. That's the big cyclotron ring. It's getting a major upgrade starting this year, and that budget is about the same as our annual operating budget, depending on what pots of money you're looking at, between $750 million to $1.2 billion for the APS upgrade. So that's increased our staffing levels and activity on site until, of course, COVID hit. So you can see usually we have at least 3,100 people on site on a daily basis. In the summer, it's more with students, but during COVID, we're only about 20% of that capacity. You know, we started in a minimum operations condition where very few people, basically only to keep things in a safe state, were allowed on site. Since then, we've moved up a little bit to what we call limited operations, which is now around 20%. And the projects that are brought back on site are kind of gauged for mission criticality, so to speak, all the way up to the laboratory director level has to be involved in decision making, whether something is important enough to bring back to site. So obviously compared or consistent with a lot of other employers, we're at reduced staffing right now. but typically you would see at least 3,100 people on site on a daily basis, which half of which consists of the researchers and engineer support staff, but also postdocs and what we call Argonne associates, which are like visiting scientists from other institutions or contractors. And then the Argonne site also houses the Chicago Regional Department of Energy office, so you have some feds on site as well. And with that, I'll transition over to Martin.
All right. So Greg touched up on this one a little bit, but so our hard X-ray science initiative, will deliver the APS upgrade, which will be the world's leading hard X-ray microscope. This upgrade will enable science that's never been possible before. Our advanced computing initiative will deliver the nation's first exascale computer and advanced quantum and neuroformer computing. Our materials and chemistry initiative will create and control advanced materials and chemistries that in turn will enable future technologies that are critical to the Department of Energy's mission. Through our manufacturing, science, and engineering initiative, we will drive breakthroughs and scale up and process technologies for manufacturing advanced materials and devices. And this initiative is meant to directly benefit the American industry. And then through our ULab initiative, we'll make leading contributions to large-scale cosmology and nuclear physics projects that probe the fundamental nature of energy and matter. Next slide. And just so both slides kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but this kind of just highlights a little more on the facilities themselves. So the advanced photon source. This offers the brightest X-rays of any synchrotron facility in the Western Hemisphere. These extremely bright X-rays are more than 1 billion times stronger than those at a doctor's office and can probe a wide variety of materials and illuminate the molecular composition. Research at the APS is beyond numerous advances that benefit our society, from new drugs to materials for stronger, lighter vehicles for longer lasting batteries. The APS upgrade will increase brightness 100 times, which will create the world's leading 3D microscope and allow users to probe real materials in real time at atomic resolutions. The Argonne Tandem Linear Accelerator System, also known as ATLAS, it's a national user facility which saw over 500 users in 2017, which I'm assuming was either similar or higher in 18 and 19. It's used for nuclear physics at low energy and is used for both basic nuclear physics and astrophysics research. It produces unique neutron-rich beams for studies aimed at understanding the formation of heavy elements and in the development of nuclear safeguards. The Argonne Leadership Computing Facility, it had about 1,000 users in 2017. It provides supercomputing capabilities to the research community to accelerate the pace of discovery and innovation. The Center for Nanoscale Materials provides expertise, instrumentation, and infrastructure for interdisciplinary nanoscience and nanotechnology. Academic and industrial and international researchers can all access the center for both non-proprietary and proprietary research. And then the atmospheric radiation measurement, the Southern Great Plains provide scientists with meaningful data that enriches our understanding of the Earth's atmosphere and climate. Scientists use data from the SGP to gather information about cloud, aerosol, and atmospheric processes, which in turn leads to improvements in new climate models. Next slide. And now I'll hand it back over to Quinn.
Thanks, Martin. So we've looked at a lot of, we've talked about a lot about the programs and missions that, and all the different work that's going on at Argonne. Now let's look a little bit at the organizational structure that makes up those programs. So we talked about these computing and environmental life science, global energy, infrastructure, photon, all these different groups do their own unique sets of scientific research. And then below that, you have the deployed safety services. Not exactly below it. These are the folks you're actually hearing from. Greg Moss, I'm sorry, not Greg Moss, Martin and Shauna, and a number of other deployed safety service members who all work alongside these researchers and scientists to ensure that the work that they're doing is done safely. And their job really requires them to have a good understanding of the work that's going on in their division and the hazards that they're exposed to. And it really requires them to have good communication skills, people skills, and really patience and understanding of all the different factors that these scientists are dealing with on a daily basis, and ensuring that all that information can be collected and comprised into valuable and helpful safety documents that these workers can follow along. And then looking at the right side of this organizational structure, you've got the environmental safety and health quality assurance group. This includes myself, Greg Moss, and a number of other what we call as subject matter experts who all specialize in certain fields of safety and provide support for these deployed safety services members, as well as the individual scientists, researchers, and even custodial grounds crew that work on site. And you just got to mention that myself as a member of the OC Safety Group, and Shauna as a member of Deployed Safety Services, all of us have unique sets of skills and knowledge in certain areas. So we continuously work as a team and get ideas and feedback off one another on the best methods of keeping our employees safe.
Okay, this is Shauna. Can you all hear me? I feel like it went silent.
Yes, we can hear you. And thank you so much for coming back and talking to us. You got your master's in 2014, right? 2013, 2014?
I sure did.
Good to hear from you again.
You too. Dr. Hogan, he was my awesome toxicology teacher and mentor. So very, very good. You guys got a good teacher. So Quinn just talks about the breakout, the infrastructure of the deployed safety services and the OC Health. And this is all within the Worker Safety and Health Division services for frontline field support and implementation. So we'll do routine inspections of buildings and facilities associated with our divisions and safety compliance reviews to make sure we're always doing what we say and making sure we're following our documentation and or updating it accordingly. Chemical and radiation surveys to ensure that we are staying within our exposure limits and making sure we're not having our associates or our researchers performing work where they're going to be outside of those areas that we outline that they need to stay within for those exposures. Emergency response, we've got an internal emergency response on site. So pretty self-sustained community. I like to call it a community. It looks like a big college campus where we can have protective services come out for fire, medical, and all of those things to assist the people that work on that site. And then for program training and development, as Quinn alluded to, we all work together for safety policies development and implementation. And it's critical to work alongside the researchers and the people that will be using these documents because that'll adversely impact their work. And my philosophy that I've developed along the years is that the people that do the work know what's best and they know what they need. So you always want to include them in those document changes or document creation, because they can help walk you through how they do their work and any changes or differences that come up in the middle. So that way, when you're rolling something out, it will be received by the people because they were part of the creation of that document. And then also medical surveillance, that falls under OC Health, where you may have individuals exposed to chemicals or radiation or things of that matter, as Greg alluded to, that they need to be under medical surveillance to make sure they don't get an inappropriate dose, or just to monitor them throughout the year to make sure they're within the bounds of what we set for exposures to certain chemicals. And then other groups that are represented underneath this is for radiation protection. We have health physicists, and that's their area of expertise. Our OC Health, that's Quinn and Greg. And for me, as a deployed safety service ESH specialist, I call myself a jack of all trades, a master of nothing. So when I do need a master, I'll call on Quinn or Greg to come in as the specialists and experts within their field if we need a broader perspective or analysis of a certain hazard that the researchers or people will be working with. Next slide. So for EHS related matters, being in the deployed safety services, we do a lot of hazard analysis, and that can be across the board, depending on what the researchers are working on in your division. And you have to have, as Quinn said, those people skills, those communication skills as an EHS professional in general, because our job exists because we're protecting people, and we're out there to make sure their work does not put them at undue risk and it's acceptable and to the best level that we can control the risk. So you have to have the ability to communicate and work with people and listen and have those patience and understanding, because we see the safety aspects of everything and they see the work that they're performing. So we want to always be, flexible while we're being safe and look at things in a broader perspective. And also incident response and investigation. So everything doesn't always go to plan. Things do happen, and we have to be able to respond appropriately in order for those things to be prevented from happening further in the future. That's why we have incident response and investigation. So our, role on that is to really dig deep down into what happened. I would say in the past, we would always like to point the finger at the person. Human error. Yes, but there's also systemic errors that happen that lead to human error. So we have to dig deeper and get to that root cause to understand what really happened, rather than focusing on the person and the steps that they took. And then along with that is quality assurance. So quality is important no matter where you go, whatever you're doing, whether you're producing a piece of equipment or a document, or you're following procedures from something. Quality is important because you need to know where your things are coming from, where it's going, what's the expected specification of how it should be received on the deliverable end. So you always want to be in tune to quality of how you're delivering your work, what they're working with, the equipment, to make sure it's made to the specification and does exactly what it's supposed to do. Safety quality is very important because we have lots of, equipment controls like curtains, robots. We need to know that all of those fail safes and safety factors are what they were designed to be. So it says 25 safety professionals. So in the deployed safety services, there's 25 of us that are deployed out into the various divisions within Argonne that work on those advanced photon sources, or within the environmental sciences division or the physics division. We all are deployed out into those divisions, and we work with the researchers there using our skill sets that we have. And like I say, safety is very broad field. So jack of all trades, master of nothing. And when I need a master, I'll call Quinn or Greg. Next slide, I'll hand it back over to Quinn.
Thanks, Shauna. Sorry about the bad segue to your slide. I had some technical difficulties. So anyways, Shauna talked about the deployed safety services, and the reason we're kind of talking about these two groups is because our internship program is set up to allow interns into one or the other groups. So, kind of thinking about what areas you're interested in, whether it be working along the scientists, actually, conducting field surveys, or maybe helping put together programs and analyze data. Now, understanding that either whether you join as intern for the OC Health and Safety Group or the Deployed Safety Services, there's going to be a lot of crossover in the work, in the field work, and everything involved. So there's a lot of similarities, but some of the differences is in the OHS group, we have the groups broken up into OC Health and OC Safety. Like I said before, I'm with OC Safety, so I manage some of the programs on the right you can see, and other industrial hygienists, or as we call them, OC Safety, OC Health members will support the other health safety areas. And I'm not going to go through each example, but just kind of looking at these, we at Argonne, we have so much different types of work that we do that our workers are exposed, or potentially exposed to so many different types of hazards. So we've got quite a few members in our OC Health and quite a few members in OC Safety, all specializing in one or various fields. And then, sorry, I forgot to mention this, but on the top you can see a few standards. So these are kind of the standards that we fall back on, the regulatory requirements that we need to reference in order to implement the safety controls appropriately. So DOE 851 is specific to national laboratories and Department of Energy facilities, and this regulatory requirement pulls in most or all of the standards that you see on the right. So OSHA, ACGAH, National Fire Protection Agency, EPA, these are all kind of in an umbrella underneath 851 that we have to reference on a regular basis as well.
Hey, Quinn, I'm on the TLV committee. I'm on the Chemical Substances TLV committee.
Oh, yeah, you had mentioned that. That's wonderful. Great.
Argonne is one of the best EHS programs in the country. I mean, if you have the opportunity to work there as an intern or as a worker, as an employee, it's a great experience. So they've had that reputation for decades. It's not just recent. So it's a really well-established organization.
Thank you, Dr. Hogan. So for this last one, I'll leave it to Greg so he can kind of go into the details of what you're all here for, to learn about what you would actually be doing as an intern at Argonne.
Yeah, kind of just speaking to Dr. Hogan's comment, prior to this, I worked in industry, pipelines and power plants, and you have a total different set of challenges. What drew me to the national laboratory environment is that respect for environment, health, and safety that you don't often get elsewhere unless you can prove your worth in dollars and cents. Where at Argonne, they respect the intrinsic value of safety and health, almost to a fault sometimes. So the challenges we face is trying to work with the enhanced set of rules that we're given to make sure we can get the research done that needs to get done. But obviously, safety and health takes first priority. Now, speaking to internships, summer 2020 internship was a weird one. I'm sure for anybody, I don't know if anybody on the call had an opportunity to get an internship. I think virtual internship is better than no internship. We tried to make virtual summer internship get the most out of it as we could. So unfortunately, students were not allowed on site at all during 2020 minimum operations or limited operations due to COVID safety concerns, but we did everything we could up to and including buying, a fleet of iPhone camera stabilizers, the gimbal things, so we could have high definition walkthroughs and safety meetings in labs for the people that were allowed on site, so that the interns could get as close to what we would call FaceTime as we can and see all the safety systems we have on site and actually demonstrate the work that the researchers are doing the relationship between their tasks and the hazards that they face. To me, one of the most important parts and holistic aspect of internships is learning how to effectively communicate with different types of people. So a PhD with a Nobel Prize is a very interesting person to try and communicate with versus tradespeople. So you have a full spectrum of different backgrounds and types of people, and oftentimes even language barriers can be a challenge that we have to learn how to overcome. We had 2 summer interns, virtual interns this year, one in the Deployed Safety Services group, which again is the group that's deployed out and supports day-to-day operations in different divisions. And then one in Occupational Health and Safety, which is more of the centralized program development group. That they were able to, get intimately involved with work planning and control, which is a big aspect of how we do our work at Argonne. Everything must be researched and planned to the greatest extent, and ask a lot of questions about failure modes, what could go wrong if this happens, do you have redundant safety measures in place in case this thing fails, all those sorts of questions. And our interns were able to participate in those processes and even ask questions of researchers. We try and keep open and question inviting mindset as we can, and I think that worked out very well. Some other projects our interns were involved with were lab placarding systems to make sure all hazards contained in the laboratory are conveyed and demarcated on the placarding system, the signage on the outside of the lab, make sure those are consistent. So from lab to lab, when you go into different areas, you're used to seeing the same hazard terminology and symbols, so you know what kind of PPE or precautions you need to take when you enter that laboratory. One of our interns analyzed historical airborne lead monitoring data in an effort to lay out the control measures and PPE required for different types of lead work. So we do a lot of work with lead shielding in brick or sheet or shot or wool, a lot of different types of radiation shielding that can pose a lead exposure hazard. So we used her contributions to come up with a work requirements matrix that really made it clear to drive consistency on what exactly is needed from housekeeping and cleaning and PPE and engineering control with HEPA vacuums and wet methods. In the past, that had not been very clearly delineated, so it was kind of recreating the wheel every time, but the intern's contribution helped us to make it easy to read and understand and implement for people in the field. There's also work with a hearing conservation program gap analysis that identified some training gaps that we were able to take action on. And then obviously more than anything else, our interns got a hands-on application of pandemic issues and COVID-19 and got to see how the laboratory developed our policies and our control measures for people working on site. And that involved a lot of, again, virtual walkthroughs to help researchers develop ways to move their workstations around so that they could maintain social distancing. And they honestly helped set up central stores of sanitation products and masks and gloves and everything else that would researchers would need to do their job safely during the COVID era. So who knows if that kind of work, if the restrictions on site are going to be the same as they were this summer as last summer, or if some of the vaccine development will help us get more people back on site. But no current plans, obviously, in the short term to start ramping up the number of people allowed back on site. But I think we were able to give the summer virtual interns just about as good of an experience as possible, and we hope to do that next summer if we have to. With that, I'll turn over to Quinn if you have any closing remarks, or if we want to throw it to Dr. Hogan and the class for questions. Or
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, no, I don't have any closing remarks. I think if we just want to, if Dr. Hogan has anything he wants to say, otherwise I think we can open up to questions.
Why don't we open up for questions?
So, to get your job at Argonne, did you first start through the internship, and then did they ask you to come back for a job, or how did that go? How did you go about that?
I can take this one. So I actually started at Argonne as an intern 5 years ago, and yeah, it was a great experience. At the time, our internship program was not what it is now. So I think it's really improved since then. But yeah, I did it for about 6 months, ended up taking another job because there wasn't a position open for me at the time. And then a few months after working that job, I got a call from Argonne saying, hey, we got a position open up, applied, and been there ever since.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Looks like you're muted, Dr. Hogan.
Yeah, so I'm going to send you a link to the class for Ryan Willig, who started as an intern at Argonne and was hired. So Ryan works at Argonne. So he graduated in about 2013 from NIU. So yes, it's a great place for a career launch.
Yeah, we have a member of our industrial hygiene team who's the respiratory protection program manager. His name's Tony Justice, and he started as an intern with Argonne in the early 80s, and he's been here for close to 30 years.
Yeah, people tend to stick around there because it's a great place to work. So.
And this is Shauna. I'll just add, I did an intern with Fermilab, actually while I was in school at NIU. So that also helps. Just working at any lab will definitely give you a different perspective after you get out into private industry, which I worked in as well. And to piggyback on what Greg said, there's no comparison. I was so happy to get back in the lab. So if you have the opportunity, definitely, jump at it to be an intern at the lab.
So someone raised their hand briefly. Jose, was it?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just I guess my question would be like, what can I I don't have much. I guess I don't have much to put on my resume that kind of makes me more like interesting for this career path. Say like I applied to Argonne, right? What can I do to like make myself more what's the word?
Hey, the thing about internships is they're looking for people with no experience. So that's what. So just
okay, yeah,
chill out on that. So
okay, then I guess Dr. Hogan answered my question. I appreciate that.
But
One thing
Shauna,
that really helped me, Jose, was just joining groups. So if there's any safety related or industrial hygiene related groups that you have at university, really getting yourself out there. Maybe you can attend some lectures or do some volunteering activities. That really helps kind of build my resume for when I didn't have any job experience.
yeah, Quinn, that's a really good point because we've had other speakers that come in and emphasize that point. Joining the student ASSP, attending the meetings of the local area safety and hygiene groups, you make connections, and those are really important for career advancement. And as you know, we've got sponsorship to support the memberships for students in the ASSP. So join up.
All righty, thank you.
One more thing I'd add in on that is if you know anybody in the safety and health field, they'd be comfortable enough and might even have to be a little bit of an uncomfortable question. Just say, hey, can I come shadow you or have an interview with you? And then take good notes and boil it down to, a few key takeaways that you could put on even a CV or a letter or something during the interview process. You can say, although I haven't had opportunities to get a paid or unpaid like formal internship, I did spend a day in the life of these couple people. This is what I learned. That's something I would look at and appreciate.
That's great advice. So ask for career advice for people. Go out and talk to them like that. And shadow days are something that ASSP sponsors. But again, right now, it's kind of hard to do that.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My cousin works at Argonne. Do you know her? Leah Taliber?
Doesn't ring a bell.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I meet somebody new just about every day I go on site at Argonne. If I'm out in the field there, like Greg mentioned, we normally have about 3,000 people that work there. And when we're extra busy, that number can double. So yeah, there's a lot of people working there. So maybe someday we'll run into each other.
I gotcha. I just was interested in knowing.
So, I mean, sometimes students feel like shy or uncomfortable seeking out internships, but I think the message that I'm hearing from people here talking today from Argonne is that they want to hear from interns. They're looking for people to reach out to them. And in fact, Argonne has some programs that I again shared with the students before about making connections with people. So they have a whole program set up to do that already. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, this is Shauna. Just to piggyback off on that, what Dr. Hogan said, networking is crucial in your career. You never know who you're going to meet and who has opportunities just waiting for somebody to say, hey, I'm interested. So never be shy to speak up and talk to people. I was a part of the ASSP. It was E when I was there, but it's P now. I was part of the local chapter, and I went to the meetings with the area chapters, and a lot of those professionals helped me to get to where I am. If it was a co-op while I was in school or just going to presentations. So definitely start networking now and getting used to it, because that's going to be, crucial in your career.
I'm teaching at Argonne because of networking. So someone I went to school with many years ago made me aware of the position at NIU. So it definitely, most every step of my career has been through networking. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of just to add to that too, definitely don't hesitate to apply. We definitely welcome people of all backgrounds, and it's just because you may not have, I guess, set yourself up to go towards ESH previously, it doesn't mean that you can't go down that path and you can't be eligible for this kind of internship to learn and set yourself up for your career.
And I've also shared with the class that Argonne's general internship pages too. So there's quite a bit of internships available in lots of different disciplines. But I'd prefer you go to this one, of course. But whatever works for you personally is what counts. Other questions? Here's your chance to talk to people. Remember what was suggested earlier, reach out to people. Here's your chance to do that right now. Give it a shot. No penalties involved.
So when going for your interview, did you were you just like throwing your applications just everywhere? You were just outreaching everywhere, or were you did you specifically look into Argonne?
Yeah, for me, I'd say when I was looking for interns, probably applied to maybe 20, 30 places. And I think I maybe got 2 or 3 calls back. Argonne being one of them. So yeah, definitely look around. And I honestly, I know a lot of people grew up around the area and know about Argonne. I didn't even know Argonne existed until I started looking for internship opportunities. So yeah, just Google search out there and ask your friends, ask around, and there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Okay, thank you.
Also, if you're not familiar with usajobs.gov, they also have internships related to OC Health or ESH on their sites that you don't normally get on like an Indeed or the other job search engines because they're government jobs. I actually got my Fermi internship through that. And then they also have a continuing, outreach program for people that do go that route where they basically mentor you and build you up to take a position full-time somewhere within DOE in terms of that area. So definitely take down usajobs.gov for other opportunities within this field that you can fill out for as well. And don't be afraid to fill those out. That's why they're there. They have civilian ones, and then they have ones where if you're part of a military branch, you get different preferences, but they are out there and available as well.
Yeah, the reason why companies look for interns is they want to hire interns. They want to bring people on and learn about them and have them you learn about the organization, because it's a safer way for people to hire permanently. So it's really don't be shy about it. Exactly, just go for it.
Thank you, Sandra. So,
other questions? Anybody else?
I'll just jump in real quick. And the comment earlier about, starting at the starting line with no experience, we obviously understand that. And we look more for effective communication skills, how well you do during the interview. And also your ability to kind of be, take good notes, follow through on things, organization skills. And to exemplify that, the two interns we had last summer, one was a political science major, and the other one was a health sciences major, but a minor in anthropology with not a really good foundation. I mean, we look for general concepts. Have you heard of, fall protection issues? Do you know the major hazards in construction? And, those sorts of questions. But as far as your level of expertise, exactly as Dr. Hogan mentioned, our intent is to help develop you on the technical side, but a good basis with communication and organization is what we look for most.
So as I've been saying in the kind of learning activities this class is involved in, you have to work as a team. You have to analyze information. You have to communicate it to other people. So all those are job skills that are applicable not to just this career, but all careers. There's a deliberate reason why I teach the way that I teach, because I want you to be successful when you leave. It's not just the knowledge base that you have to work with. So, anything else? Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And one of the things that I did early on when I was in graduate school was I went out to Argonne Labs and I talked to some people who are working there in environmental health and safety and asked them about their jobs. Just the very thing that that's been mentioned as one of the routes to gathering information. So this is a time-tested advice that works. And take advantage of the opportunities that they're presenting here to do that. All right, thank you for your time. Anything else? Anybody there?
I'll just say real quick, here, let me. So I just put my email address up there on the screen. It's qmatula@anl.gov. If you couldn't think of a question now and you think of one later, or, just didn't want to ask it, you can shoot me an email. I'll do my best to answer, and if I don't, I might forward you on to somebody else that can. So, yeah, thank you everybody so much for your time, and Dr. Hogan for allowing us this opportunity.
I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's it for the class today. They've given you an opportunity to reach out as many of the other speakers have too, and some have already done that. They're genuine about what they're doing. This is part of they want to reach out to the students. It's their goal to get people on board, learn about them, help them along the way, and hopefully hire people. So this is just do it. Just give it a shot. And I've given you some resources and links in terms of the internships information about how to prepare yourself for all of that stuff. And as so many of our speakers have talked about, the internships are really helpful in terms of advancing your career. All right, everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Please take care of yourself while you're out there, and I'll see you next week. And you too, and we'll get the points to you hopefully today.
Okay, have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.